come on, baby. Say more daddy sugar. Lovely, lovely, baby. We did it, say more with her. Come on, baby. Say more daddy sugar. Lovely, lovely, baby. We did it, say more with her. Mano, we did it. Nouvelle new dance, hey. C'est la nouvelle new dance, hey. Let me bend show me we so we mais toi il faut bend sexy bien, on va bend hey. Lady bouger comme c'est là, on va we come on baby, c'est moi daddy sugar. Lovely, lovely, baby. Tere, se moverá. Tere, mano, we tere. Mano, ven, tere. Mano, we tere. Mano, ven, tere.
Get ready to go. Get ready to go. Get ready to go. I say it's time to beat the road. Beat it, beat the road, beat it, beat it, beat the road, beat it, beat it, beat the road. Let me beat it. Come let me beat the road, beat it. Come let me beat the road, beat it. Start to beat the road. Say let me beat it. Start to jump on it. Start to stamp on it. Wave your hands on it. Beat it like one. Start to jump on it. Wave your hand on it. Take a jump on it. Beat it, let me jump. Every year we making sure that we costume design on the road and in every fete, every avenue line. We love people, we love to have our time, we love to mingle. When you see we on the road, we trample in every pavement and every corner. We go defeat it, you know we come to beat it. We go rapping name all over town, have no shame all on the ground. From the back straight to the front, now it's time to beat it. Do what you want, start to jump on it, start to stamp on it, wave your hands on it. Beat it like one, start to jump on it, wave your hand on it, take a jump on it. Beat it, let me jump, beat it, beat the road, beat it, beat it, beat the road, beat it, beat it, beat the road. Let me beat it like one, come let me beat the road, beat it, come let me beat the road, beat it, start to beat the road. Say let me beat it, let me jump.
Frame Records. Thank you, Sugar Classic Music.
Hey, for season. Femme Records, baby. So ven kuleko. Bakushana kukota bako. Mama, so ven kuleko. Bakushana kukota bako. Ivi efe kushana kuketo. Bize tule kokwela pona mafoto. Kata, furu popo. Utu sabula, twali kwa tana madimpos. Ale, iwe susha bokosi. Bagage kwa batambe kwa mabiposi. Mafuku nyoke tumoni ama biasi. Mafose no kuposa kwa majorazo. Jemini God, she stop. Kali puku nyembo kwa shefila pena mwito no show my girl. Don't stop. The way you shaking your booty, ndina shaking a booty. Kushana kwa tina pena. If you watch it, dama me kwa tina pena. Mare, nobe, are kontama. Ubalanga siyo beta yonga. So fue kuleko. Bakushana kukota bako. Mama, so fue kuleko. Bakushana kukota bako.
So those were my dancers. Weren't they fabulous? Give them a hand. So I'm the founder of Zoca Dance, and Zoca is Zambia's own Caribbean and African dance fever. It's a form of dance fitness which uses Afro-pop music and Caribbean carnival music for exercise, and that's what you just saw. So the first group you saw, those were my Zoca instructors. We have about 80 of them worldwide. The second group were obviously the Zoca kids. Weren't they charming? And the last group, those were teenagers who participate in a nonprofit initiative we started called Kuvina, and that's where we empower girls through dance. So there are two questions that I'm asked here in Lusaka every day. First of all, people say, why on earth did you leave New York City and come to Lusaka? The answer is pretty simple, because I grew up in the States, but I have Zambian heritage, and I moved here about 10 years ago to explore my roots. But the disbelief with which people ask the question indicates to me that they think life is so much better over there. And then the second question is, why would you become a lawyer, quit becoming a lawyer and become a choreographer? This is a career transition many people can't comprehend. In fact, some of our Zambian elders simply dispense with the formalities and the politeness and say, what went wrong? So I want to explore these two questions so that we can move past them. We can start to get over this grass is always greener on the other side mentality, and we can also learn to accept that there's more than one way to have success in your career. The first question, why leave New York City and come to Zambia? Well, that answer of exploring my roots doesn't seem to satisfy most people. They say, okay, you're leaving a place that's a very glittery and shiny pinnacle of the Western world to come to a developing country. It shows me that we are a little bit too pessimistic about our home country. But wait, Africa's on the rise, right? That's the story that we've been telling everybody for the past few years. Now is the time for optimism about Africa and our future. We're at this point where their economics and the opportunities are such that investment is pouring in and long-lost intellectuals are returning from the diaspora. So if we really think Africa is on the rise, why do I keep getting that question? I think it's important for us at this time to reconcile the difference between what we're telling outsiders and what we actually talk about amongst ourselves. So in order to do that, we need something to become more optimistic. I think it's time for us to eschew the tendency to denigrate the place where we live and instead embrace it. And when people like myself arrive from the diaspora, really what we should be asking them is, what took you so long to get here? We need something that will cause a paradigm shift, something that will give us a 180-degree mindset rotation. Some of you are old enough to remember REM from the 1980s. They said, stand in the place where you live. Some of you remember it, I hope. I'm suggesting as a choreographer that you actually dance in the place where you live. It may sound cheesy, but it actually works. Dance can be a catalyst in your life. It can be the thing that leads you to a more positive mindset. It's not just exercise, it's something that can unlock your creative pathways. Dance is universal and really anyone can do it. In fact, all of you are going to be dancing when I'm done talking. So consider yourself warned. And once you start to dance, you start to do so much more than just exist. You start to live and breathe happier. You start to smile and laugh. And you start to gain confidence and joy. So in this sense, physical movement can be a way to change your cognitive pathways towards a more positive outlook. Trust me, I know, because that's my experience, and it's something I see in my clients each and every day. They start with just dance, but it ends up leading to so much more positive change. And once you're more happy on the inside, you also want your environment to reflect that happiness in that better world. And this is where community change comes into play. Our theme this year is, our community is our responsibility. We're not going to leave it to someone else to fix it, we're going to fix it ourselves. So we make sure to go out and share Zoca and dance with all kinds of places in the community, including orphanages and centers for children with learning disabilities. Then we have our empowerment program. Through this program, you see the girls, they came out here and they danced, but when they dance, they do so much more than just that. It's a transformative mechanism. It helps them increase their self-esteem. It helps them change the way they view their own role in society, and it can also help them achieve at higher levels. So going back to that question, don't look at life far away in Los Angeles or New York and say it's so glamorous over there. You can actually change your environment right here by using dance as a catalyst. So coming to that second question, why quit being a corporate lawyer and become a choreographer and a dancer instead? Well, it's somewhat easier for me to answer this because dance is my passion, and it always has been since I started ballet at the age of 3. But that doesn't seem to be enough to convince people because, let's face it, some of these more traditional careers are associated with high pay and job security, and they're well respected. Whereas dance may not yield the financial benefits another career might, and unfortunately right now in this country, dance doesn't enjoy the prestige that it deserves. But let's talk about those traditional careers. Do they really still yield the same benefits that they used to? In some cases they do, but more often than not, every modern day professional has to reinvent themselves several times in their career, whether that's within the same profession or a drastic leap like the one that I did. So you have to stay on your toes. You have to reinvent yourself. And when you do, you need to innovate because innovation is the way to growth. So more and more of us these days are building big businesses in unconventional ways. So here's yet another way where dance can be a catalyst. You reach that point in your career, you don't know what the next step is, you've come to a roadblock. Dance, move your body. You will see how it can actually change the way you think. You can discover new ideas in yourself, and it can lead you to overcome those barriers and move on to the next stage of your career. And as you reinvent yourself, you want to also think about branding yourself, because that's how you start local and go global. So you want to identify something that's unique about yourself, your identity or your national identity, and package it in a way that it will resonate not only within your own country, but can also captivate global audiences. And this is what I did. So for example, growing up, I always wanted to come to Zambia because there was something cool about the people here, something really unique about the culture. Zambians were witty, were trendsetters, and were storytellers. So we need to embrace that. And what I did is captured a lot of these qualities that are unique to ourselves, and then I packaged it to showcase it to the rest of the world, and they've embraced it. So this is how you can start local and actually go global. And once you've decided on that brand, hopefully something that's innovative, something that you're passionate about, and of course it has to be something that adds value for your customer, you can now start to define your message. Now this is something that a lot of people want to skip. They just decide what their brand is and then they jump out into the marketplace. But you need to take the time to actually figure out in a crystallized way how you're going to communicate your brand to everybody else. And if you do this, I promise you, you can gain a lot of momentum and you can expand relatively quickly. This is how I expanded in Zambia, into South Africa, into America, also in the UK, and even in Germany. So start to think about what your personal brand is. It should be a reflection of you. Now imagine all of us start to create our own brands. Well, then we can participate in an image revolution, okay? Because Africa is maybe viewed in a certain way by outsiders, but remember that brands influence thinking. We can all think of mega brands on a multinational level that influence the way we think about the country where that brand came from. So imagine if we all engage in this process. We can change the way people view Africa. Instead of them viewing it in a monolithic way, they can start to appreciate it for all its diversity and glory the way we appreciated it. When someone comes from the diaspora, don't look at them with disbelief on your face, okay? They actually see value in their home country. And when someone changes from a traditional career to something that's a little bit more creative, don't shake your head and say, what went wrong, okay? There are other ways to achieve success. Use dance as a catalyst in your life. It can help lead you down the pathway to a more positive change. And once you're more happy, you're with yourself, you're going to make your environment better as well. Ultimately, what I'd like for everyone to do is participate in the rebranding of Africa in a way that makes sense for your business and your career. Thank you.